going live, but very normal things. So quick lightning round, coffee or tea?
Tea, matcha.
Really?
What?
How long have you been
Well,
doing, like, are you a no coffee girl?
I like coffee, it's fine. But the matcha is, I just like, I'm really fast in everything that I do, including my heart rate. And so we don't need to add all of the coffee to it. So if it's the only option, I'll do it. But
Yeah.
I'd much rather have a way bigger matcha than have to like limit myself to a tiny coffee a day.
Right. I get that.
Oh.
I totally tried to get on the matcha train. I think
Was it real matcha?
I mean,
Or
I
soy?
Okay,
went to
there's
a
so
local-
many different kinds though.
I went
like
to a coffee shop and said I want the matcha, and then I got the hot matcha, and then I shared it. Everybody's like, you need to get cold matcha. So I tried cold matcha, which was good too. I mean, if it's sweetened, it tastes fine, but it just didn't stick. I went right back to coffee. But I'm with you, Jayci. It's like it can give you anxiety because
it's just like I'm just sitting at my desk like buzzing, and I feel like I already walk into work like that, so I don't really need that. But
Yeah,
we were
I
just
mean,
at a conference in Columbus, and there was a cafe there, and on the first day I got a matcha and it was delish, and I was like, okay, perfect, like this is my situation. And then the next 2 days I got it, and the only difference I could tell was it was just like a different employee. So like it's very different each time, and that was just dirt water. Like I couldn't drink it. So it's really dependent on like the conversion, and I just have a powder that I get from Target, and
Sweetened or not sweetened?
I have the cafe style, which is a sweetened, and then like the standard grade is unsweetened. And I have just kind of figured out my mixture at home, and I'm just going to stick with it until it's discontinued.
Yeah, because you don't know what you're going to get when you go out, because you're right. Everybody has their own style of
You know, okay, so why I love travel, right? My first experience with matcha was at the Jade Buddha Temple in Shanghai, China. And it was a little touristy, but I didn't
bougie.
think that well, it wasn't bougie. It was very low key. And at the time I felt like a super exotic moment for me. Right. And in hindsight, you're like, oh, this was pretty engineered as like a tourist experience, but I felt it was super random. And she went through this whole tradition of, it wasn't powder at first. It was actual tea leaves. And she had this like bamboo thing. She poured hot water over it. And she explained that we do this to actually get most of the caffeine, the initial caffeine, off of the tea leaf. And it's like, that's interesting. And then they ground it up right there, and then she whisked it, and it was a sweetened version. And she goes, people like to pretend that traditional isn't sweetened, but you know, traditional is also subjective, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, what? And so like I was sold. And like everywhere I could get matcha after that, it was like, and you're right. Sometimes you get this dirty mud grass water, and you're like, what is this trash?
You're like, okay, I will not put you on my list.
Yeah, man. Okay, so that's good to know. Okay, mountains or beach? Continuing with the lightning round.
I'll go beach, but I'm more partisan to lakes because of where I am. But yeah, water in general.
Okay, and for those visiting Fargo Moorhead, what is the lake to look into?
The most popular where there's like public access would be Detroit Lake. It's about 40 minutes from here.
Detroit Lake.
Yes, so that's a city, Detroit Lakes, and it's kind of where a lot of people who live in this area have summer cabins. But that is the one that has public access and a public beach. There's a couple other in the North Dakota direction, but they're kind of a jaunt. They're like an hour, 2 hours for like public access.
Okay, so everybody goes to Detroit Lakes.
Yeah.
Yes, if you don't have somewhere to be, if you last minute plans, they're going to go to Detroit Lakes, they're going to go on the beach, they're going to go to the local pizza spot called Zorba's, and it's going to be a summer highlight.
Very cool. Zorba's, named after Zorba the Greek?
With that information, do what you will. I don't know. There's 12 locations at like other Minnesota area lakes. It's it's a chain, but only in this area on those lakes.
Interesting. Okay. So let's go with the normal questions we set the expectation of. Thank you for the lightning round. So your title is the social media manager for Visit Fargo Moorhead. No, she's shaking her head no.
No, that's not the official title.
What's the official
title? Digital marketing manager.
digital marketing manager, but social media ties into that.
Okay.
And how long have you been in this role?
About 3.5 years.
Wow.
Dang. Okay. What is the biggest change in social media, digital media, that you've seen writ large from that starting point to today? What's the biggest shift?
Yeah, so I think I kind of was in a weird situation because I started and I graduated during COVID. So everything was kind of mid-switch. So it was a big change of we were doing as much as we could and we were promoting the things that were still happening, but we still wanted it to feel livable and like people were actually going. So anything that was planned, we kind of had to sidestep to include maybe new principles or to show that like people were attending things with masks still. And so we got a year and a half of that content. And then as soon as those things were lifted, we kind of had to go back to the starting ground of, okay, all that content we got, we're never going to use it again. We just have to use that for that experience. And we started from there again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like I'm literally trying to think of like how one would repurpose the mask content. And I'm like,
it's not like Throwback Thursday. You don't want to bring it back.
It's not like, it's not a throwback fun meme situation. I think there was a lot of cool things that happened, but events canceling, not as many people visiting. It's not something that we would need to market for future reference.
Did you guys take anything? Do you think anything good came out of that as far as social media practices that you learned that you're like, this kind of worked during COVID and it's popular now? Maybe we can use it.
I think, I don't know if it's one specific place, but I think just being able to kind of have a backup plan and during that time, maybe the things that people were normally visiting for or like our top ticket items weren't open and kind of having to pivot to other options, whether that would be an event closure or a business turning to like small businesses that are still open, just like different times. And we did a couple campaigns of kind of bringing the money back to the small businesses instead of just door dashing from the chains, giving out gift cards, doing giveaways of they're still open and we want you guys to try them. And here's how you can do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it sounds like not only you were tasked, your department or your team was not only tasked with digital media, but it kind of sounds like local business development was still kind of a hat. Like you're hyping local businesses, making sure people get out. I mean, I bet you now that we're saying this, that's probably that emergency imperative that every destination was tasked with of like, get people back out. We are having masked protocols once those rolled out. And did the Fargo Moorhead area do the outdoor seating push where everyone was doing like
as like during the seasons that we could? Yes. I think our DMO is interesting that we're not affiliated with our chamber. The chamber is here, but that's membership based. So while we partner with them on a lot of stuff, we as Visit Fargo Moorhead are kind of the spokespeople for small businesses kind of in general. So while we could promote the downtown specific for a specific campaign, we were just kind of giving out that branch of here's all of the local non-chain affiliated things. We have over 200 local restaurants that aren't a chain and they're in more places than just downtown and they want to see you just as much as you want to try something different that isn't on a delivery site.
Do you guys like have specific partners in the city or is everybody considered a partner?
If you have a business that isn't affiliated with a chain that is local and you have some sort of social media or handling, we will have a listing for you just so that you are able to be searched upon.
Okay.
We have partners in a sense of maybe ones who have reached out to us to do additional advertising, or if they are new and ask us, we are very partner based on if someone wants to reach out and try something, we want to help them get their name out as much as we can. But different types of partnerships form from conversations all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man. So you came over and I was raving about this and I didn't realize it till I looked at your LinkedIn. You came over from CoSchedule, which I'm familiar with it because like I am like a task and product management and calendar management, like nerd alert. I'm always testing what can work. And we actually did CoSchedule for a while. I didn't realize they were based there in Fargo itself.
Yes. So, well, there's two offices, or at least when I was there. So, it's a marketing organization software for those of you that don't know. There's several different options that you can purchase, and the most popular is a marketing calendar where all of your projects can be organized, but then there's also add-ons that you can do, SEO, scheduling, that kind of stuff. But yeah, Fargo is actually really thriving in the tech space. We have a lot of expats that come and live here specifically for job relocation. I think we have like the third largest Microsoft North American campus. NDSU is one of the three colleges we have. They're a land grant research-based university. So a lot of people are coming here for their specific projects, and that includes tech. And they're the founders of CoSchedule are Bismarck natives, which is North Dakota's capital, 2.5 hours from here. And their bigger office, where I think they just were happening to get more traction, it was here in Fargo and still is. So yeah, that was my third internship in college.
Wow.
I was on the marketing team for a year. Yeah, I learned a lot of great stuff there.
Yeah. So how did you transition into this position?
Yeah. So I went to a couple different schools. I moved around a little bit. I ended up graduating from NDSU with strategic communication. And because that program and marketing in general is so broad, I found the most value in doing as many internships as I could. And so that kind of started that journey. So I did a few months in Dublin, Ireland, working at a publishing agency.
Okay.
And that was really helpful in just understanding business, but understanding it from a whole nother level. There was a solid month that I was sitting there doing cold calls where I was encouraging people to sign up for an award that my company was doing, and I was getting immediately hung up on because of my accent.
Didn't they notice your American accent and like, why are you calling me? Is this a marketer?
I don't know if that was just like the intern's job, but I like the ones that did want to listen to me, that was really interesting and really helpful. So I did that, and then I came back and I was still in school, and I did an internship with a local event promoter and concert promoter for a summer. And that was just really interesting of seeing like the whole process of I'm in school for marketing, but seeing kind of the other hand that goes with it. And then I had about a year left of school, and both of those internships were like one semester summers, and I kind of wanted a bigger chunk thing. And I was putting feelers out there, and CoSchedule happened to be one of them. And I went through their thorough interview process, and it was very conducive to your skills, but also personality, just because it was a startup more at that time. There was a lot of things happening. It was really fast. And yeah, so I started working there. I was specifically social media, kind of doing the social listening, the chat responses of the ones that I was able to help with, finding bugs on the website. My hands were in a lot of different things there, and I found all of my internships really valuable, but that one especially, because as much as I had my hands in everything, I was kind of keeping a list of, I like that a little bit. I don't know if I want to dive into that as much. And so as I was doing that, it was really nice to know that an internship is an internship. There's a time frame. So I was able to kind of hone my skills, figure out what I wanted to dive into more, but then have a timeline of, okay, I'm graduating at this time. Let's start looking. And I'm a forward thinker. I'm always kind of thinking a few steps ahead. So I was like, what's this job situation? Like, so people like graduate and they don't have something lined up. Like, that sounds like a heart attack. Like that, I don't want to do that. And so I was just putting feelers out there, and I had reached out to the CVB, Visit Fargo Moorhead, for an internship before, and their office wasn't doing any internships, but I kind of already had them on my radar, and I heard back from them saying, we don't have any internships, but we do have a marketing position opening up, like, stay tuned. That later turned into a digital marketing manager position opening up. I interviewed for it, submitted a project, and I accepted the job. I think like one day, and then I think I graduated 3 days later, and I started after the new year, and I've been here ever since.
Oh, dang. Now, okay, you mentioned social listening, and I do believe a lot of departments, marketing departments, social media departments, they overlook the listening side. Do you still incorporate that yourself, or does someone else on the team do? Okay. What is your kind of normal, typical routine on social listening, and how do you filter all that out? Because there's a bunch of junk, but then there's some real valuable stuff. So what's your process for listening?
Yeah. So I think it can start just regular at the bottom with just interacting with your followers, interacting with who likes and comments on your stuff, who's interested in your content. But I think what's interesting about me is that being the Convention and Visitors Bureau, we have multiple accounts. We're on every platform, but then we have multiple on the same platform. We have about 11 or 12. And so even though there's the regular Visit Fargo Moorhead, we have a couple others specific to food, because we have such a large local business in that area. We have some relevant to Fargo, the movie. People have heard of it. Our visitor center has the actual wood chipper. And so that's a very interesting audience that I love to interact with. And the wood chipper has its own Facebook page. And that's a totally different thing that I'm being able to see what people have to say that I wouldn't normally see on another channel. So I think cross-channel promotion, as much as that helps to put your content out, it's just as valuable to listen in, because you're seeing stuff that you wouldn't normally see on maybe your personal account feed.
Interesting.
What's the significance of the wood chipper?
You didn't see Fargo the movie?
Not since I was like a kid.
That's okay. I didn't even know we had it until I started working here. It wasn't like, it's not like you have to stop at the interstate. But so the 96 Coen Brothers movie Fargo is like a dark comedy. And it's very weird. It's very out there, but like you have to know that going in. Like they got a bunch of awards, and it's a very like renowned movie because they are just kind of forthcoming in the Midwest accent and the stuff up here. And at first people kind of took offense, but it's now just kind of something that's funny because that's a talking point. And it's really fun when people come into the visitor center because they saw the movie. And it's winter and it's showing blizzards, it's showing one stoplight, and people are coming expecting to see that. And then they see that we're the biggest city in North Dakota and we're 3 cities combined. And the famous wood chipper scene, I won't spoil, but it's significant in the end. It's just kind of, it's one of like the first.
No, like it's a murder mystery.
It's a murder.
And the protagonist is a sheriff.
Yes.
Okay.
I love her. I can never remember the actress's name, but
I forget too.
She was in
No.
Yeah, but her name's Marge in the movie, and there's a diner here called Marge's. There's a bar. My boss's dog, her golden retriever, is named Marge. It's really cute. But yeah, there's a scene with the wood chipper, and a few years ago, someone reached out, or it was found out that the set, like the people on set who were doing all the mechanics, he just had the wood chipper in his basement.
Oh my God.
And we reached out and asked if we could use it or display it at the visitor center here. And we still have it, and people come and take pictures with it. We have a couple little other display things. We have like the original screenplay script. We have some of like there's been like limited edition things that have come out. There's a tiny little ice scraper with the logo that we love to show because that wouldn't do anything here. Like it would break immediately. There's snow globes that we have behind a display case, but when you shake them, it's blood instead of snow because it's like a murder mystery. So that's an audience that I didn't think that I would be listening to, but they're very fun.
And I bet you the vibe of that, I don't know if we talked about this, but doing what we do, we get exposed to a lot of like convention centers and convention center type stuff. So the Comic-Cons that come through, to me, the vibe feels very similar, where it's so niche and there's so many inside jokes and quirkiness.
Super fans.
It is
yeah,
super
so
fans.
they have their own little culture.
Yeah, and
Yes, for sure.
but visually, like for this scene, there's just the wood chipper, and it's like this whiteout blizzard near a lake, and it stands out. It's like a red wood chipper, and there's other red going on. Yeah, I'll let you watch it, but it's such a distinct visual stimuli. And when I think of, you know, Visit Fargo Moorhead, like I think blizzards. And so this goes into the brand campaign for the public. What's the, you know, you and I know, but for the public, what's the current brand campaign for Visit Fargo Moorhead?
Yeah. Our tagline is North of Normal, and we kind of live that and showcase that in everything that we do. Kind of like what I was saying earlier, that people come and visit and they're expecting one thing and they get to experience another. And that kind of falls in with that. Whenever we're working on a brand campaign and either the ad agency or just people in general are asking us, like, what does that mean, North of Normal? My immediate things that I'm thinking of are, like, you expect to come up north and like see a lot of German heritage and like meat and potato type things. But we have a restaurant that's a German beer hall where you can get a rattlesnake brat and you're just experiencing it to a very unique point. And yeah, like we have blizzards, but like, and we have, everyone wants to come here in the summer, but like we actually have a winter festival that has gone like for one weekend some years, and other years it's gone up to 6 weeks of just celebrating. Yeah, it's cold here, and that's the reason why people don't want to live here, but the people that do live here, it's something to celebrate.
Yeah,
we can do that with snow sculptures and snowboard sledding and running in the snow and all of that kind of stuff. So it's kind of taking what people expect and pushing the envelope of what we have here, because people don't think that we have 8 breweries and over 200 local restaurants and really nice fine dining and luxury stays in hotels. But you can also stay in a zombie themed hotel room that's connected to like our most popular brewery. So just like choose your adventure, choose North of Normal.
So let's talk about some of the unseen aspects of the business. Most of our audience are either creators or other travel destinations or people that work in the Ministry of Tourism in countries. What are some of the unseen aspects of the business that you really wish the creators who are trying to partner with you, or creators that you've met across the board in other expos, like we all met at the TBEX Expo, what are some unseen aspects of the business you wish the average creator knew or paid attention to?
Yeah, so I think this kind of always ties in with what are kind of expectations with people that are starting out. But from the outside looking in on my side, I think it's very helpful when creators understand that me communicating with them and getting a contract signed and sending it to them in a PDF is just one part of the puzzle. There's also scheduling of the dates that they have available, while wanting to find the best time within that time frame that they're able to experience the best of what we have, instead of maybe just like walking down Main Street and getting like the regular store, the regular restaurant. I really want to make sure that everyone that comes here gets to experience it to the best of their ability, and that they experience it through their own personal interests. I'm not giving everybody the same cut and dry itinerary. When I'm meeting with people at TBEX or when I'm meeting with people anywhere else, 2 of the biggest questions I ask are, what are your interests? Like, what are you interested in besides social media and content creator? And then also, being a social media content creator, you wear a lot of hats in the type of content that you produce and that you create, and you're told what the biggest ticket creative is right now, whether that's short form video or whatever. And while everybody knows that, I always want to ask them, what content do you create that you're most proud of? Everyone can do everything. Everyone has their own toolkit, but are you really focused, and are you really proud of your blog? Do you make really great short form videos? Do you love photography? Because with those interests, I can better build out an experience of, okay, she doesn't want to do video, then I'm probably not going to have her do like a behind the scenes thing. I'm going to get her to maybe where more of the nature is and where more of like the visuals are, so she can get that for her carousel. I think a big thing is that even though it's a transaction of working with content creators, it doesn't have to be a give and take. It can benefit both people, and that's kind of the goal.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I love that you say that. I think it matters very much where their interests lie, and that I know for us, we like to build itineraries based on where they actually really want to go and visit. We don't want to just give them like a standard, like you go here and here. A lot of times it ends up being like some of the same places, just because
there's
like
great things to feature.
Yeah, exactly. But definitely, and I don't know that if they realize that, but it's a huge consideration in the process, because we know that you're going to get better content, like you said, better visuals and all around. So I love that you're sharing that.
Yeah. And I think it gets, like we've talked about before, it can be kind of intimidating sending out so many contracts or interests to so many businesses. But I think it's important to know that, it might just be one person on the other side fielding all of these things, but showcase your best self, not in a template format of just entering your name and your contact details with the same paragraph. Like, tell me why you want to come specifically, if that's an event, if it's a season, if it's something that you heard of. And then I'm able to look at that and say, okay, like it actually doesn't really make sense for you to come at this time. Maybe it would be better for you to come in the fall, or I want to make the best opportunity for you. So let's just work on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think other people in your role at other travel boards are as hands-on as it sounds like you are? You sound very involved in this process.
I don't know. I think that maybe just has to be a poll question that you ask everybody. But I think I tend to be hands-on because I'm the one that's talking with them. I'm the one that's going to be posting their creative that they do send to me. So I think it's maybe unique in my situation that I'm going to send out the first email saying this is kind of what we are thinking, but then I'm also going to be the one that reaches out after the trip too, to make sure that everything was good, if they have any feedback and what their ideas are for what they're going to post. So I think it's unique that I'm with them the whole experience. I don't know if that'll be forever, but right now that's how we got it. And we're kind of hitting our stride.
What's your tech stack for some of the social media management? Like, you handle however many accounts, 11 or 12 accounts.
Yeah. What are you using? How are you staying sane over there and organized?
So I have a couple tricks up my sleeve, but I'm always welcome to other ones because that's all I can do. I tend to plan out content either knowing if I don't have someone signed up for a creatorship or something, but I know that it's kind of a big ticket item, and that if there isn't someone that ends up coming for that, I can kind of reach out to some local creators or partnerships to use that. So I have those types of holes, but I tend to plan quarterly, but it's altered so that it matches up seasonally too. A big sell for people that come to visit here throughout the country and international is that even though we're known for being really cold, we do have all 4 seasons. And so that's kind of how our content is geared. Of the summer, there's going to be content of upcoming summer events or the perfect summer day that's itinerary based. And then other things, the fall, there's going to be a college blog hack of here's all the deals, here's the things that you need to know coming in. Winter, we're going to tell you the restaurants that are open on Christmas. We're going to tell you the New Year's stuff. We're going to tell you about our German Christmas market. So I tend to build out the bigger things first, whether that's creative of a campaign or a blog or written stuff. And then I kind of have an ever evolving door of kind of re-queue content that can be shared whenever I need to fill it. That stuff that is a listicle format of a type of food or a type of restaurant or a type of store. We did a highlight on our plant stores and bookstores last year just for a kind of creative, independent, and people want to know that. That's a thing that maybe when you're visiting, you know that you can go to museums, you know you have to go to this restaurant, but what about in between? Like, what about before I have time to kill before my reservation? So what tends to happen is I have my calendar spread by month, and I plug in those things. And then from there, I plug in the social media stuff of campaigns relative to those, and then user-generated content. I have the kind of national holidays, but more tourism, whether that's Tourism Day or North Dakota Day, July 1st, 701. That's our area code for the whole state, fun fact. So July 1st, it's North Dakota Day, people. Now you'll remember. Yeah, so I have to look at it in chunks, and then slowly it comes together, and I show my media plan with the rest of my marketing team, typically a quarter ahead. We plan out our large campaign that's kind of evolving for the whole year, a year in advance. So we want to make sure that those are kind of in conjunction with each other. But I think something about social media that can be kind of tricky if you're a type A and if you want to stay organized is that you have to be aware that things are going to change.
Yeah.
You can plan stuff a week ahead, a month ahead, a quarter ahead, but you're probably going to have to move and adjust. And I think strategies and platforms that you're able to look at a calendar and just drag your content to another day, that's a huge win for me, because that's how I'm doing it in my head. So I don't really want to have to plug in a bunch of other dates when it should really just be that simple.
Are you using CrowdRiff right now?
Okay.
Yeah.
For distribution.
CrowdRiff collects like a creator's content when they post, right?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can use CrowdRiff. We use it just from a general user-generated content like dumping ground. We follow hashtags, we follow accounts, and those kind of populate in there for us. So we don't have to be digging for a specific creator on that platform. But other ways that we use it is on our website. We have our media library that is usable for any of our partners, any of our accounts. So if they want to post something on their socials and they want a picture of downtown Fargo, those are accessible to them, and that's built out through CrowdRiff. Another way that we use a CrowdRiff is Collector. That's the one where it's more easier to use with influencers, where I am just sharing them a link, and that link goes to a pop-up on their phone where they're able to drop any of the content that they created while in our destination. That one can be a little bit tricky for stories. So, excuse me. There's another option that we could do both, in that they upload their content there, but then when they get to our location, they allow us, we send them the push notification that, hey, can we follow you through CrowdRiff so that all of your content populates in here, so that we can see kind of the live stuff that they're posting. Right. And then I have a task for myself that once anyone leaves our destination, I organize all of that, place it in a CrowdRiff folder. And that is kind of just living there so that it doesn't take up room on my computer. We're able to use that for if we had a partnership that part of the contract was images for future marketing promotions, I'm able to tag that content as such, so that when we start pulling stuff for a visitor guide, those creatives pop up and are usable for us.
Oh, wow.
And the image quality stays high. It stays good. Okay.
That's
awesome.
really good.
You have the ability to, when you download it or are taking it off of CrowdRiff, you can condense the quality. It's important that when it's uploaded that it is the original, that it's not a screenshot. But once it's in there, the quality will stay. Yes.
There was another app, Travify, I think, that they were talking about at T-Bex about building itineraries and all that. And I came back and told our visit Central Florida, but they're looking into it right now.
So North Dakota Tourism does it. We're looking into if it would make sense for us to be a part of that, or if we were to have our own. But the way that Travify works is it's actually what why can't I think of the word? Travel bookers. What's it called when someone helps you book
travel agent?
Yeah. What in the world?
That's okay, because you coughed and you were like trying to keep it together.
Yeah, I was just like choking, but no, I'm fine. Travel agents use that as a way to how it is kept up to date and it's live. So they plug in hotel, airport, airline, the like number of your airline, any reservations that you have, any other ideas that they have, they're able to pull it by Google Maps location and place it.
Oh, wow.
And so then if there's a flight delay, it's automatically updated. And any information that you have, for example, if someone was coming and I built their itinerary out and I sent them the Travify, you can send it digitally, but there is an option to download it. But then if I send that to them, I'm also able to put in the notes, like, here's your Crowdrift link to put any of your content as you're going. Yeah. Something that seems really helpful about that option is that there's so many back and forth with content creators on all of the different information. Yes, you signed your contract, but there's still an itinerary. Maybe we need some tax stuff. Maybe we signed everything, but they have questions on what they should order where, or they're just curious about something. All the information that you could ever find on the things that they're sending, that we're going to send them to, is there. And then there's also option to just reach out to me directly through Travify instead of me having to email them and waiting for a reply, or sending my personal cell phone if I'm not in the office because they're here over the weekend. It seems kind of like an all-in-one system that could solve a lot of not necessarily pain points, but just streamline everything.
That's cool. We'll have to check that out. Quick question from Joel Bram. It didn't come up in our system here for some reason, but on LinkedIn, Joel asks, you have a unique area being up north. What kind of demographic do you typically see visiting your location? And then what are you doing to expand that demographic? You may or may not be expanding that demographic, but two-part question. What's your top demographic, and are you doing anything to expand them?
Yeah, so we have seen stats and data of kind of who tends to come. And one of our top demographics was the single female, young female. And so our campaign this year was kind of celebrating that, in that there's something for you to do no matter who you are and what you're coming here for. Different interest types and that kind of thing. This year, another high interest was young families coming to visit because of the seasons and the family-friendly activities, and kind of just like the family-friendly vibe of, yeah, we have 8 breweries, but like you can bring your kids. Like, it's not a club. Like, come and have a beer and also go to the food truck and play games.
Do you guys have the guys who yield the axe? The
axe throwing.
No, not axe throwing, but like I had Emily Plank local lumberjacks. Yes, that's it. Lumberjack guys, because she did this whole reel that went viral about visiting like this place that had a bunch of lumberjacks
in Fargo.
No, it wasn't in Fargo. I don't know, but I'm wondering. She said single females.
Oh,
it's a whole thing about being a single female and going where the lumberjacks are to like get a date. Yeah, or
that sounds like a reality TV show that I would watch.
Show as a single female.
It does sound like reality TV.
Well, I mean,
it's very specific. Are you thinking about lumberjacks? Do you?
When I think of up north, I think of lumberjacks. I really do. Like,
yeah.
Comes to mind. I'm like, I wonder why that's why single females are going there, because they want to go check out the hot lumberjacks. You know, it's like hot firemen, like whatever.
I think we have like a kind like that. I think like the outdoorsman is very popular. Okay. I don't know if I would segregate it to specifically that.
Like there's like lumberjack shows. If you go to Pigeon Forge, they have like lumber.
Well, and like there are like there's lumberjack events.
Bachelor. Don't steal my idea.
What'd you say, Jayci?
There's like this area, like there'll be like lumberjack events probably of like a competition, or like there's like definitely like plaid days. Like we're a part of that culture, like all of that, but it's not. I'm not gonna do a marketing campaign specific to lumberjacks come here.
Yeah. So our good buddy Jarrett from More Than Blockchain, who has his own crypto show, says, Nicole, I've lived in the North for decades and I have never seen a lumberjack. Like this is on someone's fantasy list, I think, over here.
I'm just saying, it was like it went viral. It's a viral TikTok about it.
No,
it's
so funny.
I would go.
Well, have you guys
the campaign? I got the campaign for you, Jayci. It's north of sexy, and
get your sexy lumberjack pack.
Well, have you ever heard of Paul Bunyan?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, like that's lumberjack, giant lumberjack folklore, that kind of thing.
Far off.
So like we nod into that, but not like our big metro. Like everyone's heard of that and talks about it, but
yeah.
Well, that's true.
Beards and flannels can be found where there are IPAs. Yeah, I'll give you a list of those, Nicole, when you come.
Okay.
Maybe it's not so lurid as north of sexy. We could actually do dating north of normal, and just it's like you could have a bunch of subcategories.
Oh,
so back to Joel's original question. You mentioned single female travelers and families, family friendly stuff. But do you notice a certain area of the country or world that is just, noticeably represented in your demographics?
Yeah, that's a good question. So our visitor center actually tends to track that. We ask people where they're visiting from when they come to see us, not as a means of creeping on them, but we're just curious of why you decided to come. It's very common for people from Canada to come down here for back to school shopping. We have a lot of independent, but we also have like the largest mall in North Dakota and that kind of stuff. So that's an obvious, we know that like we can expect that traffic. Okay. But as far as other parts of the world, it's kind of all over the place. Really? If people are already up here, we see that. We also have another campaign called the Best for Last Club.
Yes.
And that is kind of where I think that's why we don't have an obvious answer to that question, because a few years ago, our visitor center staff noticed a trend that when people were coming into the visitor center, they were mentioning that out of the 50 states, this was their last to visit. Just because of kind of where we're located, you're not really going through North Dakota to get from one end to the other. We're up north, and people would go to Minneapolis to kind of cross that off their list, and we're 3.5 hours north of that. So we started a campaign on that, and we decided to call it the Best for Last Club. And so if people have visited all 50 states except for us, and we're going to be their last, they can come into the visitor center and tell us, and we celebrate them with an official certificate, an official t-shirt that you can't buy. You're an official club member. I think now we're kind of around 5K. Wow. And in the summer, when it's kind of road trip season, we'll have several people a day come in. And we're kind of just used to at our desk hearing cheers and whoops and their travel stories.
Fun. We've had a couple RV families mention that even since you said that. We came back and we had been talking about, we met Visit Fargo and then obviously promoting the show. Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, we went there for our best for last, or it's on our list. Yeah. And so it's just cool. It's been popping up.
I think Craig Hadley, the Walkabout Adventures, weren't they saying? I don't know. One of these families specifically who's in Influencer Academy was mentioning this. And when you mentioned it in Puerto Rico, I was like, that is the coolest, kitschest thing to own what others could be trying to wield as a negative and wield it as a positive. It is social listening, That's
we're trying of like the things that we know are not going to compete in best beach or biggest city or things that like there's no point in. But when we can find our little wins that put us on the map, that's kind of what tourism marketing is all about.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. Where can people check in with Visit Fargo? Is it just visit fargomoorhead.com or visit fargo.com? What's the website?
It is visitfargomoorhead.org. Or it's fargomoorhead.org. I'm just so used to saying visit.
Yeah.
And then you can search Fargo Moorhead on all socials and we'll pop up. Okay. The Wood Chipper FM is the Wood Chipper Facebook, if anyone has questions about that. And you can find me on LinkedIn, any and all of the above. I'm listed everywhere.
Awesome. Jayci, this has been awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. Stick around real quick and we'll wrap up. Let's do this. Boom. What was your biggest takeaway from Visit Fargo Moorhead?
that I want to go there.
Yeah. I'm telling you, the more we talk to her, I'm like, you know what?
I love a German Christmas. Like I always wanted to check that out, and I don't know that I'll ever go to Germany. So this is like the best thing. I wonder if they have an Oktoberfest. That was another
Oktoberfest maybe.
You know,
I think she mentioned their beer holla. I think is something that she mentioned.
So
we'll have to ask her and check that out. Well, thank you all, everyone. This has been Influencer Academy, aka once upon a time it was called the Hot Spark Show, but we are now Influencer Academy. Please check out Fargo Moorhead. Jayci was phenomenal. She's super friendly to us when we met her at the TBEX conference, and one of our favorite DMO people to talk to and just hang with. So thanks so much, everyone. Check us next week for another episode of